Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson. It's been a real hot topic after the meltdown of the playoffs over this past Sunday, especially with the that I'm gonna touch on the one with the Steelers and Jaguars and that wild game that went on there. But over the past few days, you've been having a a lynch mob effect feel about the whole people wanting to get rid of and fire Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the different things that did or did not happen in that particular game where they actually should have won and everything. Let's just go ahead and put this out here right now. And people keep saying this. I've heard this a lot. So, what is it? Steelers defense that your mom and dad grew up on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, of course it's not. Steelers up until about maybe I don't know 4 or 5 years ago, Steelers have always known for defense. Always had a stout defense. You couldn't run on the Steelers. Uh, in any of that. So Steelers defense has not been that stout. They're relatively pretty good, but they're not as stout as what they've been in the past years. And with missing Shazier against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but Shazier was actually in that game while Leonard Fournette ran wild. And who knows if he would have made a difference? He could have, possibly. But at the same time, they've been having issues basically since Troy Polamalu started getting old. They never really addressed the secondary. And the secondary is not as good as they used to be and and whatnot. So let's just go to the game. So the couple of two fourth and ones, you got Big Ben, who's always been real successful in that. Yeah, should have been a sneak a couple of times. Uh, the onside kick. I know what Tom was saying. Our defense hadn't stopped anybody, but at the same time, I would think you would want them to instead of giving them 45 to 50 to 45 yards to try to make it to get a field goal or a shorter distance, at least make them go 75, 85 yards. Anything could happen at that particular time, especially if you mess around and get them in a 3rd and 9 or something like that, where you make Bortles a little uneasy and whatnot. But that's neither here nor there. The decisions was made. They ended up losing the game, even though they valiantly fought back. Big Ben played his tail off. Brown, all their key players did what they had to do. And with some coaching, it was some coaching gaffes, but that wasn't the only coaching gaffe in the in any of the playoff games, as a matter of fact. But we just dealing with this one. So now I keep seeing these things about Tomlin needs to be ran out of town. Tomlin sucks. He's this. He's that. Da da da. All these other different things about that. And I'm like, you got some people agreeing with this and stuff like that. I'm like, hold up a minute. Hold up a minute. Steelers just went 13-3. I wouldn't say anything if Steelers went 3-13. I wouldn't even go that far. If Steelers went like 9-7 or something like that, that would be unacceptable based on the talent that they have. And so I'm listening to this, and I did a piece shortly after uh, the Kansas City Chiefs in their playoff loss that they had, and the whole against the Titans, and I was just like, that's typical Andy Reid. So then I got to thinking. I said, well, some of the top coaches that they say that's top coaches, and I was like between Andy Reid. So what I ended up doing, I ended up doing a little research here, and I'm sure other guys have done this as well. But I'm like, let's look at this here again. It's like my thing is trying to get off of the information or go check out different things because some people with the knee jerk reaction of what they'll end up doing, they'll say all these things and end up sticking their foot in their mouth. Let's do this. So I went. Mike Tomlin has been a head coach since 2007. Mike Tomlin has amassed 116-60 record that he has with the Steelers. Mike Tomlin has been to 2 Super Bowls. He's 1-1. He won one, lost one. Mike Tomlin is a 2-time AFC Championship game winner, series winner. Mike Tomlin has no losing record at all in his, I think, 11, going on to close to his 11-year tenure as a head coach. Okay, as a head coach, no losing record. He's in the 11 years he's missed the playoffs 3 times. And the 3 times that he actually missed the playoffs, he's basically missed with a sub with 2 8-8 records, I believe, and a 9-7. Sir, I've seen teams in certain times make it in with 9-7 and 8-8. So, so or right at an 8-8, or around that, that type of record. Mike Tomlin is 8-7 in the playoffs. That's a game over 500. Mike Tomlin's whole record altogether is 124-66. That's a very nice record to have, obviously. And they went 13-3, another winning record, one of the top records in the NFL. Okay, so a lot of some blame would go to Mike and stuff like that. People need to realize that coaches are not robots. They are emotional. They're emotional beings, just like, especially in that game, just like players can get emotional, coaches get emotional, coaches can get confused, even though it's not their job to do that. They're supposed to be the captain that studies the ship. Got it. Sometimes that just doesn't happen in the NFL or any coaching profession for that matter, or in any profession for that matter. It happens. You follow what I'm saying? It happens. Same thing go for Tomlin. Does that mean that Tomlin should get a pink? Did he get his hand slapped and people criticism for what he did? Of course, give him the criticism. Being fired, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But let me do this. So I just gave you that with Tomlin. Since 2007, the great Andy Reid, because Andy Reid is known as this offensive genius and all of these other different things. Andy Reid, since 2007, which part of that with the Philly and the rest of the time has basically been with the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid has composed of 103-72 record. Okay, which basically 103-72 record. Andy Reid has, let me see what how can I put this, until it was 2015 on the last time, and this is with him with the Chiefs, won a playoff game. Before that 2015 playoff win that was against the Texans, they won them like 30 to nothing. The last time he actually won a playoff game, right, was in, I think, 2007. So it's a 8 year gap of the time that the last time he won a playoff game, and that was in 2015. Then before that, it was like 2007, the last time they actually won a playoff game. Okay, he's 3-7 in that span, in an 11-year span, 2007 to now. He is 3-7, 10 playoff games, 3-7. Okay, but I didn't hear anybody having Andy Reid's head in the guillotine or get rid of him, fire him, or the firing squad. Let's go get this guy and everything. He's a bum, this, that, and the other. They started off hot, fizzled, got back up 10-6, and then they do what traditionally what Kansas City Chiefs teams do, and that's even going back to Marty Schottenheimer. I already did a piece on that. Just go back and check about Andy Reid. I already did a piece on that. So in a total since 2007, Andy Reid total is 106 wins. And this was including playoffs. 106 wins and 79 losses. In that 11-year time frame, like I said, 3-7 in the playoffs. No divisional games won, no AFC championship game, no trip to a Super Bowl, no Super Bowl at all. Andy Reid still kicking. You didn't have them, the lynch mob sign. They going after the Andy Reid over in Kansas City. Now I pull up another coach. And I just used Andy Reid because I was like, okay, well, how long are they going to keep this guy around? So then I did some more research on this coach, the great Sean Payton. Sean Payton, since 2007, has a 98-65 record, 7-5 in the playoffs in that particular time frame. So he was suspended from the game because of a bounty, trying to hurt players and all this stuff back in 2011 or whenever that was. I think he's out of football for all of 2000. He's out of football for all of 2012. Up until this year, 2017 season, 16, 15, 14, they missed the playoffs 3 consecutive years, 7-9. They missed the playoffs. That happened. Ton of all defensive coordinators that come in and out of that franchise, right? Before the wild card victory against the Carolina Panthers, the last time that they had won a game was in 2013, a playoff game. And this is with the great Drew Brees, which I'm going to do a little piece on him coming up due to his pending free agency thing that's coming up. 75. So you look at Sean Payton, 98. I haven't heard, and even with this, and in this game where he challenged and ended up losing timeouts and whatnot. Let's go back to the Carolina game and just showed you, like I said, even when I did the thing on, and I talked about the hate on Cam Newton and dual threat quarterbacks. One of the things that I said on there, I also said, look at it like this here. So just because it's a game of inches and time. So on 4th and 1, the great Sean Payton calls for Drew Brees to roll out and throw a pass, only for Drew Brees to throw an interception. Now, like I said, a couple of plays here and there. Technically, Carolina should have basically won that game. Cam played lights out, which I'm going to talk about that again a little bit because of the double standard when it comes to talking about Cam or a quarterback winning and the quarterback losing and a quarterback getting props for losing and he's a legend and all this. And other one's like he's whatever. Okay, but neither here nor there. That's a coaching gap. Why would you do that if you have a running attack? People say, well, damn, Texas, I mean, you do know they got to shut down. I don't care. You don't throw the ball in that. Why would you throw the ball only to get picked? And that's what Drew Brees did. Nobody said anything about that because subsequently they won the game and whatnot. And Carolina basically didn't get a call from an intentional grounding. Funches loses the ball in the lights and then going back to the first quarter, losing 7 points when it should have been a touchdown and an extra point. Instead, they walked away with nothing because then by that time, the game would have been at, they would have been tied and they would have been moving toward field goal to actually probably win the game. Another story, neither here nor there, coulda, woulda, shoulda, didn't happen. Okay, so you had all of these different things happen. And then, of course, they're talking about with Sean Payton, the skull chant with the Vikings. He's mocking him. He's doing all this kind of stuff. But that's I don't care about that stuff. My thing is, why is it that Mike Tomlin has like the lynch mob after him and everybody's going for his head at a 13-3 record? Yeah, coaching gap. All coaches have a coaching gap. That doesn't mean this man's supposed to be fired. And when you talk about coaches that's left up in the playoffs or that was coming into playoffs this past week, I mean, so all of a sudden, so Mike Tomlin, his record and what he's done does not mean anything now. That's what bothers me, and the double standard that's in sports with certain people, even certain players, and I even see certain coaches. You follow what I'm saying? I'm like, so let me get this straight. So again, and I'll reiterate this again. Mike Tomlin is 124 and 66 in total wins in regular and playoff wins. 124 and 66. He has won a Super Bowl. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. He's had no losing record. And in 11 years, he's only missed the playoffs 3 times. 3 times. That's it. I've already given you Andy Reid, 103 and 72. That's actually 106 and 79. 106 and 79. Now, if you get right down to it, and just for giggles, I'm gonna just look this up and just to let everybody knows, let everybody know this. So when you start speaking of start talking about him, I should say, well, this could go to Sean Payton as well. And Sean Payton, and I just told you 3 consecutive years in a row where he missed the playoffs with 7-9 record. And you go back to all the years since 2007. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sean Payton has had 4 seasons where he had a losing record. 4 in his years of coaching, his 10, 11 years of coaching that he has had 4 losing seasons. And he had an 8-8 season, which is 500. So he has had 4 losing seasons. And he did, and those 4 losing seasons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 4 losing seasons and 5 seasons of not making the playoffs. And a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year run. Okay. Now, granted, I started from 07 because that's when, because I'm not really counting his 06 season. I'm counting from 2007 when Mike Tomlin came into coaching and what he's done in that particular frame to 2017. Now it's a year missing because He got kicked out, so that's neither here nor there with me. But right now, just from 2007, we can play that game. Okay, we go to Andy Reid, and we spoken about Andy Reid and stuff. Again, one of these other type of coaches that can sit up there and do and basically have everything and do the same thing, but they're held to a whole different standard. So in this time frame, Andy Reid, let me see, starting from '07, right? One, let me see, one. He's really only had one season. He's missed the playoffs 1, 2, 3. He's missed the playoffs 4 times and had a losing record 1 year out of that. 1 year. Everything else was either 9-7 or 8-8. 2 8-8, a 4-12, and a 9-7. Okay, and he missed the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4 times, right? But hasn't done anything in the playoffs. But yet, them guys' jobs are secured. Or you don't have a lynch mob coming after him, or the press jumping on him like that. And I wonder why. You go do some little research to do you well. Little research to do you well. And Mike Tomlin, very good coach. Another Super Bowl making great coach. And another thing, ladies and gentlemen, let's stop this BS. I hear Colin Cowherd, because like I said, as much as I talk about Colin Cowherd or whatever, hurt the herd and all this stuff, and him and Whitlock and stuff, and the guys, and Whitlock, I'll say nobody says anything about this guy because he's black and all this type of stuff. Cut the crap, man. The record speaks for itself. But the first thing Colin Cowherd comes out of his mouth and said, well, he didn't build his team, he was inherited the team. Look, man, all that stuff. I'm gonna just say it right now, all that stuff is bullshit. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I guess you could say the same thing about George Seifert. Doesn't matter. What does it matter? That's not that man's fault if he was inherited a team that was built by somebody else. Cowherd left, Bill Cowherd left, and that was that. The man took on the team. He didn't know I was going, you still got to get them people to perform. And this man has been performing since he's gotten there. Literally averaging about 10 wins a year, 10, 11 year, right at that. What else do you want from him? He's done this. Of course, things happen or whatever, and I still think he could probably get another Super Bowl. It's gonna have to be between this year and the year after. But with the new kids that they have it. There are a few pieces left. They got pieces on defense that need to be filled. They do that, they will get to an NFL Super Bowl and possibly win the thing. I kind of thought they was going to do it this year, but it's just too many holes in the defense. So yeah, so don't fault him. It's funny. Nobody really says that about John Gruden and taking Tony Dungy's team. Nobody says that about John Gruden. Oh, Chucky. Nobody says that, but everybody talks this shit about Mike Tomlin, and it's not fair, and cut the double standard out. I'll be back in a second, you guys.